You can moan and complain. I do that all the time.
Welcome to the official, unofficial Sea of Thieves podcast, a podcast dedicated to Sea of Thieves and other rare games, but mainly Sea of Thieves. This is the last episode of 2023, which means we will be discussing our wishes for Sea of Thieves in 2024. It's a tradition we do every year, and personally I find it very fun to do. Not only will you hear our wishes, but we will also be discussing those from our own community. And one of my wishes that always comes true is having an amazing co-host.
Yes, thanks, Blubber. I really want Flameheart to come back in 2024. Oh, sorry, no, wrong line. Hi guys, it's me, AShinyRay again, talking about Flameheart.
And for this episode, we also have a special returning guest.
Hello. I was tucking here for 2 years since last interview, and I just decided to appear again. PhuzzyBond, your pirate doctor in Sea of Thieves, and I complain about the blunderbuss a lot.
Who can blame you?
Well, glad you're back, Fuzzy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you so much. Still on the grind, larger wheel, but still, running and trying. All good though.
What do you mean by that, larger wheel?
Like basically 2 years ago when we, did this, I was a smaller content creator. So now it's like, the same thing, but at a larger scale. So it's, more to keep up with because I'm still alone, right? I'm not much of a team type of person. So yeah, but it's good. We learn a lot.
It's interesting you call yourself small like 2 years ago. Like you were still one of the bigger Sea of Thieves content creators in my opinion.
It's funny how...
maybe compared to now, yeah.
I would say Fuzzy's bigger than... 2 years ago, you were bigger than me than I am now, if that makes sense. A lot bigger still.
Well, I don't remember how many subs I was back then, but I think my biggest growth was, 2022, and then 2023 was less.
Yeah. So how was 2023 for you?
2023 was the hardest content creation year since I started.
Wow.
Because streaming wise, views were across the board lower for everyone. But to me, I got affected more because you know what they call him? The guy that stands at a door in a hotel, concierge, right? The one that, yeah, to me, I think of myself in Sea of Thieves content creation as the one that stands by the door. Like when a new player comes in, he says, where should I go? I'm the one that tells him where to go all the time in my videos, right? Like what to do, how to do it. So when the interest in Sea of Thieves drops due to like a 9-month season, for example, I'm the first one that gets affected, right? I'm the first one that gets like immediately affected by this. But on the positive side, if there's hype, I'm the most one that benefits, because I'm at the door, like stuff like this. People want content, want guides. If I already covered everything there and the season has been 9 months or 7 months to come out, it's like my pipeline of life, oxygen gets less and less and less. Immediately you notice it, Yeah, so that's why it was hard because we still pulled through, but yeah, it was hard. Like some months it was just nearly impossible, especially the snowball effect when things get less, then you realize that the next video you made that you worked so hard on got 20% of the views on a video that you did last month that you barely worked on, So you start, I'm sure you guys are on the same boat with that. So it's like, that gives you stress and demotivation. But I kind of don't believe in that too much. Motivation is just a metaphor. In the end, I use these things to make us stronger. It's like, fine, didn't work. I'm going to make it stronger now this time. So you try and innovate. And, for all that downtime brought me to the best time of my content creation career, which is the last 3 months.
Oh,
so how was... Sorry, you go, Ray.
I was going to say that's really interesting because we know Falcor said the same, that 2023 was a struggle to make content, regardless of what we all think about the content quality in 2023. Yeah, you're definitely not the first person to say that, and I don't think you'll be the last if we continue to ask other Sea of Thieves content creators about this.
Yep, 100%.
How was it for you then, Ray?
Content creation or 2023 in general?
Well, 2023 as a content creator for you, yeah.
It was okay. I had some good videos. I wouldn't say it was the lowest views for me in terms of a single period. I think sort of season 4, season 5 period of 2021 was really bad for views, but 2022 was really, really good. And then 2023 was just, it had this really long period where after season 9, sort of first month, and everyone was bored of it, it just didn't really pick up again. And I probably, I released the least amount of videos when I was doing, 2 videos a week, at least one. And I think at this point, I'm at something like 2 videos a month. There's just nothing to talk about. And you can feign, like I said to Falcor, you can feign interest in a game. But I just don't think there was anything to talk about in Sea of Thieves, really. There was no speculation, there was no adventures. Monkey Island was really cut and dry. There was we didn't really have anything to speculate on because we all basically knew Guilds was coming, and that was just taking ages. So, yeah, just a dry year. I'm glad it's coming to the end, though.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully.
I think season 10 aside, I think we'll be fine. It's just that season 10 was marketed as the super season, and it was a bit of a disappointment as we discussed last week. Before we go over to you, Blubber, I'll actually ask Fuzzy this because he wasn't in our last podcast. What did you think about season 10 as a whole, Fuzzy? Not in terms of content creation, obviously we'd like that aspect as well, but in terms of, did you like it as a player?
Not at all.
Not at all, not even one bit.
Because first of all, guilds, I will say this, I love everything about Rare. They changed my life. The game changed my life. But a part of Honest Guides and Gameplays is because I care too much. I would say something the way it is, regardless of what the other side is going to think, because to me, in my opinion, if I'm wrong, someone can correct me. That is a fact, in my opinion. So basically, guilds, what I notice over time with the Sea of Thieves updates is that they bring a very, very amazing concept or an idea on paper, but every step forward, it gets watered down just a bit until we get a bare bones of it, for example, guilds is a huge potential that I believe I don't want to say failed, but it could have been way better, by saying you can use our forums to find guilds. People can, the amount of people flock to content creators. Fuzzy, what are you doing? Blurbs, what are you doing? AShinyRay, what are you doing? Blubber, what are you doing? Hitbo. Everyone did something to innovate, to try and have a home for these people in guilds. 90% of people in my chat, I can barely get my guild to level 15, and it's only me and my friend, And it's really hard, basically. The guilds is amazing, but there's no platform or any official automated way for people to find each other. That's why guild, in my opinion, failed horribly, right? Content creators already have distinction 1 million on their thing. I'm still distinction 1 because I'm barely doing it, but other content creators, some of them reach 10, and stuff like that, but other people can still barely for an emissary because there are only 2 people. So the difficulty they put for how to level up, I agree with it, but they somehow assumed that every guild is going to be just packed with active people, and that's not the case at all. So are they out of touch? Do they not really understand how people going to approach this? Because people can barely find a crew to sail with in a galleon. How are they going to find a guild of God knows 25 people?
Yeah.
What about sorry, go ahead, Blubber.
Yeah, that was the same feedback Falcor had, right, on the guilds. Yeah.
I think it would have been better either having, this might sound silly and take away from the roleplay aspect, but having pre-made guilds aligned with each of the factions that you can just join and everyone is part of the same guild. Say you've got 10,000 people in Reapers, you've got 20,000 people in the Gold Hoarder one.
Yeah.
Or just having the bigger guilds where, you've got the PhuzzyBond guild, you've got the Captain Blubber guild, and you'd have these people that would sort of flock to content creators. But if you look at how, say, Blurbs has done that with the Pirate Council, that's a really good example of how a content creator guild can change the way you play and have that role play aspect rather than just being with that person because you watch their videos or you watch their stream.
Exactly, yeah.
It's okay how they've done it now, but it just feels like to me, and I think Blubber will probably agree, we're just playing as the friend group that we always play in, and we're just getting another bar to tick up, and we're not even that bothered about it anymore, are we?
No,
exactly,
really.
yeah. Exactly. And
Just
people
happens.
feel like being leaders. Like every person feels like being a leader in a guild, even if him and his friend are there alone. The idea of having the menu and having the ability to right click and kick someone. We're humans, you know, we like this kind of race towards leadership when it gets to these things. Just like people want to be the best TDMers or the best PvPers or the best gold hoarders. People want to be the guilds. So they start, even if they have only one friend, by creating their own guild. And that's where the problem was.
But let's move on. Otherwise, it's going to be another season 10 discussion. But would you say, Fuzzy, this has been the worst year for Sea of Thieves?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I also did a poll. My community thinks about the same. Like, I think about around 90% said this was not a good year for Sea of Thieves, and I kind of agree with that. But are you hopeful for 2024?
I think things are going to get better, but not too much. You know, like 20, 30% better. It's not like getting an oh my God moment in Sea of Thieves. I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon, because not at least 2024, because we did have in the past where, you know, Johnny, Mike Chapman say next year is going to be the best year ever. You know, they said that like two years in a row, and it never really delivered. You know, it's because you think something's nice, which is like Tall Tales or something, doesn't mean it's actually nice or what the people want. It's like drawing your own painting. You think it's amazing because you spent a week painting it, but other people don't see that, and they don't really care how long you spent on it. They see the final product. You know, ugly painting, I don't care. You know,
That's kind of true for guilds because they put a lot of resources in it, and it's not much to show for the players. So, but yeah, for them it was really big. So
yeah, one thing about guild, I'll just say it fast before we move on. Instead of all the time and effort they put in a guild emissary, I believe they could have put quarter of that on a Hunter's Call emissary, and it would have been 10 times better. We already have crab crates, we already have crab models, we already have things, you know, put the crate on the shoreline, throw the chicken in there, wait for a snap, get a crab out of it, you know, add new commendations with outfits. That alone is more fun than the whole guild's idea.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And now I want to this call update so bad. Anything to add to that, Ray, looking back at 2023?
Yeah, it is easily the worst. I don't want to be nasty or anything. And I did really enjoy Monkey Island for what it was and the environment and, you know, just the general presentation of it. But yeah, it just, something has gone wrong behind the scenes. It's been a bit of a perfect storm with, you know, season 9 being a small season, and then season 10 being a pain in the ass to develop, and then you got Monkey Island as well, and then you got the cheetah problem, which I think a lot of people forget now that it's sort of in the rearview mirror, fingers crossed. But it's not been a good year for Rare, and I think I said this in my video, it's not anyone's fault in particular, it's just an amalgamation of things that have caused this. And Rare know, we know. I don't know if you've seen Chapman recently, he's been very vocal on Twitter. Which is quite strange for Mike. He usually drops drips and drabs of like little teasers, but they know they're in everyone's shit list. And
I think Mike put the war paint on his face now. You can kind of tell, like, you know what? No more nice guy.
Yeah,
we're gonna just do it. And honestly, that's how I believe in it. Look at all these other games, DayZ, Tarkov, and stuff. Even though they're more competitive games, but when you see their devs and stuff, they don't have this Disney type of pampering character. You know, they go all in. You know, they can reply to someone, tell them screw yourself. You know, I don't care. that's how it should be. You know, because we are too spoiled too as player generation in general.
I do think people do have this issue with they can't be pleasant when voicing their criticism, and I think the developers are in their right to turn around and tell someone to fuck off if you're being rude. There's a difference, and most of the people who put criticism are very like pleasant and stay very eloquent on how they put things. But when you just turn around and say, "This is just an example, don't crucify me," you removed quick swap dead game. Like, shit developer, that's not
the idea of customer is always right.
Yes.
Yeah, the idea of customer is always right does not work in gaming at all.
You can moan and complain. I do that all the time, but it's, you say, this isn't very good. What if we did this instead of what if we added this? Just be polite about it.
Aye.
Yep.
With that, we're moving on.
Mm-hmm.
So before we go to the news, I want to remind our listeners that they can help this podcast out financially if they want. They can use super thanks to do that, or if you want something in return, you can buy a podcast poster. The link to that will be in the description. If you're a poor boy from a poor family, or just like, I just want to give a thumbs up, please do that. That also helps. So we go to the news, and like always, all of our news comes from Mike. We just follow his tweets, so you don't have to. And he tweeted something quite interesting, because do you guys remember the Lost Sands adventure?
Whoa,
Which one?
The only Lost Sands adventure where we were fighting for the fate of Golden Sands.
Oh, yeah.
So there was something added there that we were like, wish this would have stayed in the game, and it didn't. And I am talking, of course, about the CAG rowboats. So I'll read the tweet first, because Mike replied to somebody else. He replied to Dylan A. James, and he said, totally off topic, but I've always wondered why you took away the Mega CAG/Reaper rowboats. Sir, they were like children to me, and now they are gone. And Mike's reply was, it was done to performance reasons alongside existing rowboats. It's a shame they've been gone for so long, but they will return. So, how do we feel about this news?
Okay, well, I don't really agree with them returning.
Oh,
okay. Ooh, okay.
But because there's a much better thing than bringing these back. Allow us to attach a keg to a robot instead of giving us a static robot.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's what I believe in. So getting this robot back as a static, like one piece, there it is not a really good idea in my opinion. It should have been that you go to a robot with a keg facing the back of it. You get, for example, to hold down R or any button, and then it just like when you vote for a flag, there's a radial, and then it attaches the keg in the back of a robot, and there you have it. This way it could be a normal keg, mega keg, Athena keg. But right now, by bringing these back as they are, we are just fixed with that, and it's going to take from the kind of, what do they call it? The table, or the loot table, you can call it, of robots that you can find. For example, to me, my most important thing is the cannon robot. Even though I barely carry it on me, it's the one always with cursed cannonballs, right? So by adding this keg that I'm barely going to use, keg robot, it's good. But, you can put a keg in a robot, or you can attach it in the back. That would be better. This way, it keeps the same chance of spawning for all of them, but only if you have a keg, you can attach it on it, making it kind of a much more sandbox experience instead of static. Like, here's a keg robot. You don't want it, you can't have a robot.
Yeah, it's an interesting take. Could you enter the inventory on the CAG rowboats? Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, you could.
They
spawn with loads of cursed cannonballs. Not loads. They spawn with cursed cannonballs, chain shots, good food, and normal cannonballs. They're really well equipped.
Yeah. All right, that's an exciting idea, Fuzzy. I kind of like that. How do you feel about it, Ray?
Yeah, I'm happy they're coming back. I used them a lot to, steal veils and stuff. It was great. But I do like Fuzzy's idea. And just a small point off the back of that, for a sandbox game, Sea of Thieves doesn't have all that many resources, or, you play other sandbox games and they have crafting systems. I feel like, we have these quality of life seasons. Why not add some different materials, or expand the cooking, or, have things that can be crafted with just raw materials to just sort of open up that sandbox rather than finding it in a barrel, let's say, or finding it in a world event. I think there's a lot of scope for that. If Rare really looked at it under a magnifying glass and thought, what can we do with this? What can we improve? Because Fuzzy's example is really good. Another one is just repairing rowboats. We've had planks for years. Why not use them to repair rowboats?
We can, right?
Well, you can, but I'm using that as an example of we can take those concepts and, take it even further and add that sort of that use for resources rather than, we just use wood for repairing the ship. We just use cannonballs for shooting them at people. We just use food for eating,
Yeah. Yeah, maybe attach a harpoon and a cannon to a robot as well. Will really make it even more interactive.
Yeah, or even just, you can find a mini cannon that you can't use, but you can attach it to your rowboat and you can make a cannon rowboat or a harpoon. There's that scope for just, making it a little bit more immersive and, what's the word? Not eclectic, varied.
Yeah, and maybe you can use those same tools to attach to something else as well. Like if you find a harpoon, it doesn't need to be on your robot, it could be a different part of your ship, not everywhere, but certain spots where you can attach it.
You could stick it on the back railing, for example, where the flag usually goes. Things like that would, but it's temporary and destructible, so you don't always spawn with it. Things like that would be really cool.
Aye. Anything to add to that, Fuzzy?
No, that's just my point of view of it. They're good, but I want more flexibility.
There are some things that can be a little bit worrying because they could be part of the sandbox, or they could be part of an adventure again, right? Is that a concern we have?
That's true.
It's a possibility, isn't it? We are told that adventures are meant to be replayable next year, whether that's new adventures or they're bringing back the old ones. It was said a while ago on the last podcast, so there hasn't been any talk of them since. So we'll see what happens. But I don't think Rare would make the same mistake twice. I think.
Let's hope not.
Yeah.
In terms of that, when they've been the feedback's been pretty consistent with that.
And the other concerning part about this tweet was actually it was done to performance reasons. So that's scary, because if you can't have CAG robots because of performance reasons, like, does that mean we can't have big islands or big AI threats anymore if those robots don't work? How do you guys feel about that?
To me personally, I'd rather, like, if we're gonna have a lot of performance issues because of CAG robots, then it's better not to have them until they're sure of it. Because, like right now, you can put a CAG on a robot, like that's a good kind of compensation for server quality. Like, for example, they say like Sea of Thieves has the most beautiful water out there, which I agree with, but that's the main weight on the server all the time. Like, the main reason Sea of Thieves servers always suffer is because of the water in there. I'm a type of person that doesn't mind taking down some of that quality to give more breathing room for the server and gameplay.
I find it interesting that adventures seem to have been time limited, probably because of the strain they put on the server. Because if they weren't, it's like having 12 or 13 tall tales added to the game that interact with the islands and cause this and that, and it needs to calculate this, it needs to calculate the shrouded ghost, it needs to calculate forts, it needs to do the rowboats. But like Fuzzy said, it is concerning that rowboats put a strain on the server. Yeah, that's worrying, isn't it? It's like it does feel like, especially with this year, that they've squeezed the absolute most they can out of this engine or this server or these consoles, you want to say, whatever the processing power is that is being, bottlenecked. It feels like we're really at the end of our tether here. Because they did the same with the Burning Blade, didn't they? They removed it, and they removed the little thing underneath the Port Merrick. They removed the room temporarily, didn't they? Because of technical issues.
Wait, the Burning Blade's not on Shipwreck Bay anymore?
No, it is. They removed it for about a month, and they brought it back in July, I think it was.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it was a big thing that just sort of popped and disappeared.
But that is worrying, sadly.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
We'll see what happens. So let's move on, because Mike did give a little insight into what 2024 could be. Somebody asked him, Leater said, besides my love for Monkey Islands, I sadly feel the same, almost no changes / new game mechanics. While I get guilds from a social perspective, it is to 100% the same game loop we've been doing for years now. Missing adventures and no orb stream was a big bummer too. All hopes for 2024. And Mike replied, we definitely built new mechanics, but could we have got the balance better and had some focus on moment-to-moment play? Absolutely. Always appreciate our players' patience, and I'm excited for what's coming. Next year we'll have a strong sandbox mechanics focus. So does it mean that 2024 is going to give us those sandbox tools again?
Well, like I said earlier, we've heard these things before many times. Next year is going to be 3 dots, So, I mean, I would support them all I can, and I would hope for it as much as I can. But it's like the boy cried wolf. As much as I wish them the best and I want Sea of Thieves to be the best game in the world, the past experiences always proved that I just wish they don't overhype things so we won't get too excited, Just like, don't say that bad next year is going to be this. Just say, for example, we have new tools coming next year or something like that without overhyping it. So one thing is people tend to be spoiled generally. You know what I mean? Like they take something. I don't mean it in a bad way. People sometimes have the sense of entitlement, like Rare owes me, why didn't it deliver up to my standards, and they start like tweeting stuff and crying and whining about it all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not expecting too much, but I would support it.
Yeah. Anything to add, Ray?
I just think they need to go back to adding stuff that I think I read a really good comment. I can't remember where it was. To define new content, if you can say, today I want to do such and such, you replace such and such with this new thing in the season, that feels like new content. You don't go around, today I want to grind for my guild. Because you don't do that. You have to do something else to grind for your guild. Or a good example is, today I want to do Skull of Siren Song, new content. I know it's reskinned and reusing mechanics, but it's still a new activity. Today I want to go on Safer Seas. You're not doing anything new there. So as long as they can fulfill that, today I want to go and do the Flameheart World event. Today I want to go and do, I don't know, this new voyage. Today I want to do, such and such. It goes on like that. So as long as they can do that, that's fine. And if those sandbox tools are, today I can go and use, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a sandbox toy that everyone wants. Help me out, someone.
Smoke bombs.
Today I want to go and PvP and use the smoke bombs. There we go. That's a good example.
Yeah, something that gives the dopamine is like,
this is new. Well, this really changes how we play the game. Because I guess you can even extend that to, Rare's added a new, destructible weapon. They've added, a handheld cannon. That feels like it changes the way it plays, because you get into PvP, you pick up your handheld cannon, and you kill some people with that. And that's, whoa, we didn't do this last season. That's new.
Yep.
But we'll see what happens.
Aye. All right, so that was the news. So let's go to our...
I do have a bit of breaking news from last night, actually.
Well, let's go.
So it was Mike again, and this was about 24 hours ago at the time of recording this on the 16th of December. So Mike tweeted about a really nice sort of rare limited Christmas card. Really nice art on there. I'll send that to Blubber so you guys can watch that on YouTube. An extra bit of editing for you.
A new Christmas card. Is it in the store then?
Wait. Then someone, Jew the Godfather, on Twitter goes, Mike, give me a Sea of Teas for Christmas, please. And Mike, in his ever wonderful, mysterious ways, gives us a little poem. And the poem reads, all that is gold does not glitter. Both wonder and wonder are not lost. The ancients of old live forever. Blades of steel and fire shall be crossed. From the deep a fire shall be woken. His loyal reapers a wrath shall bring. Reforged shall the blade that was stolen. Shadow of fire shall finally be king.
I've seen that actually. Yeah.
Oh, so you did. So you saw it and you neglected to put in the podcast. So you have to pick up your slack.
It sounded so obvious to me.
So basically,
yeah.
Sorry, say what you're going to say.
I just wanted to dissect it, but you can do that too if you want.
No, you go ahead.
Well, the first one is a little bit weird. Like both Wanda and Wanda are not lost.
Yeah.
Wanda with an O, she's not lost at all. She's just a human selling weapons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that doesn't really make sense. And I think the Wanda not lost means she might become human again. I don't know how you feel about that.
Sounds about right to me.
Mm-hmm.
The ancients of old live forever sounds like it's referring to that little tease we had with Brixie I keep thinking it's the Stolen Sky in the Secret Wilds. That seems like is a reference to how they live forever in the Sea of the Damned. Blades of steel and fire shall be crossed. Any ideas?
When it gets to lore, I just
just watch the Falcor video.
like you on Falcor videos like breakfast, I just put the spoon and start eating. And even if you say like helicopters going safeties, I'm like, whoa, I believe it.
It's in the law.
Literally, Yeah, I just, that's all I know. I don't go deep into. I get annoyed when lore gets broken. Like when Athenas start fighting each other and stuff. But like I'm aware of lore, but all my sources are UN Falcor. I just know nothing else.
Got you. Fair enough. Blubber, blades of steel and fire shall be crossed.
Yeah, it just sounds like action, right? Just like we're getting some action. The blade of fire is, I mean, come on.
Sounds like the burning blade ship and the burning blade sword will be combined somehow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you read it again?
Blades of steel and fire shall be crossed.
Yeah, seems more like a battle still.
That's fine. From the deep, a fire shall be awoken, or shall be woken.
Flame art finally waking up. Yeah.
Sort of. If the burning blade wasn't being reconstructed, then we know that's probably the wreck of the burning blade, the real one.
Mm-hmm.
His loyal reapers a wrath shall bring. Well, that's pretty self-explanatory.
Mm-hmm.
Reforged shall be blade that was stolen, so that's the burning blade sword. I don't know why they changed it and called it the burning blade. That's so annoying. And Shadow of Fire shall finally be king. So obviously Flameheart's going to be back. But it's interesting that they say that he'll be the king. Sounds like he's got some big plans.
A king is one of the runes on his ship still, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so there you go. A little bit of lore for those who didn't know.
It's only 18 months till Flameheart comes back, guys. Sorry. No, it was 18 months from, what was it? Return of the Damned. It's been over a year anyway. It's been 14 months now.
It's terrible.
Sad times.
It is interesting that he has the poem at the ready. So do you think that's from a lore book that we're going to get next year? Maybe,
or he's just, he's practicing.
Or ChatGPT. No.
Imagine. ChatGPT. Here's what's happening in Sea of Thieves in 2024. Please write me a poem.
That's why
it's a good one, nonetheless. Using a tool to do things, there's nothing wrong with it, right?
No, of course.
Well, thanks for adding that to the news segment, Terry.
There we go. I have to talk about Flameheart, don't I? Otherwise, people think there's something wrong with me.
Aye. All right. So let's finally dive into our wishes. And to keep it short, we will all give just 2 wishes. One of them is somewhat reasonable, and the other one can be as crazy as you want. So, who wants to go first?
I
think it would be interesting to hear the guest's perspective first. Fuzzy, do you want to go first?
All right. So I used to have wishes in the past, but they kind of changed as the updates came.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. Both wishes are to improve guilds. One is kind of possible. I think both are possible, but one is technically more difficult due to server limitations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the first one is quest boards and sea forts, right? A guild goes to a sea fort, captures the sea fort, puts loot inside, closes the door. Once you close the door, you get a quest that you put it on the quest board. That quest board becomes regional in the area, like, for example, European servers. Now, I can go from any server. I log in and I see, for example, let's say AShinyRay's guild captured this sea fort.
Mm-hmm.
There's loot that's worth 70k inside, right? I take this quest and then I dive to your sea fort, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, like the mechanics are all available. And capturing sea forts, we did that in the adventure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also available. And then we can add some rules there that has to do with, like, for example, every 15 minutes that the crew manages to defend the fort, the loot becomes more cursed, just like the hourglass, curse in the front of the ship. And it doubles in value or something like this, with a cap of 1 hour, for example, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes a guild fighting another guild over a sea, steal your loot from your sea fort, by killing everyone, finding the key and opening the vault. Mm-hmm. So it's like fighting a fort, but we're not fighting skeletons, we're fighting real other players.
Interesting. And when would you win? Like when you sink the other ship, or when you have the key, or what's the condition?
Well, it's just a draft idea. All these things, it has to become practical, maybe on Insider or something. So these can be tested, like what if the people keep just boarding from their ship to the sea fort? Or like, how does it end? Or, is there like a score? For example, the ship gets to sink, once, twice, 3 times, you're out. Rules will be added to it, but it will feel like a small mini mode, but that's actually guild related. Like you have to be in a guild to do that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Seems a little time consuming too, because you need to accommodate the loot first and then spend an hour defending it. But the concept
that's
is
why
great.
it needs all the balances are needed, but as a concept, we do have everything that makes that possible, because you can technically, dive from any place to any place in the game.
Ray, you want to add to that?
No, I really like the idea. I think the C4 mechanics, guilds, and sort of capturing C4 and that whole matchmaking thing could all work really nicely in a little side mini game for guilds, really, and really sort of flesh out the whole guild wars aspect.
And this was your somewhat realistic wish, right?
Yeah, and the unrealistic one is Arena 1.0, the original Arena. Honestly, before tomatoes are thrown. Now Arena with guilds is literally the best thing. Imagine guilds from the menu itself. You opt in for PvP, and then in Arena, 3 ships come out of each side, and it's basically a battle of 2 guilds only, but fleets, 3 versus 3. Sea of Thieves never had that, except server alliances. It is technically possible, but the fact that we keep going back to 5 ships per server, like these things I'm adding to the like the C4 one will be more to the PvE PvP players, but the Arena one will be for the hardcore PvP players. I'm sure it'll make them very happy, and it will spike up the views on Twitch. Like the Arena days, we used to have way higher views on Twitch as a ratio than what we used to do now, because look at the top games on Twitch. All of them, they have to do with fighting and stuff like that. So, doing something like this where you can vote from the menu as a guild, go 3 versus 3 ships and fight it in Arena 1.0, the original one where you had to dig multiple chests, it will make it a very big they will win everyone's hearts, you can say.
Would you do 3 galleons versus 3 galleons, 3 brigs versus 3 brigs, 3 sloops versus 3 sloops, or 1 of each ship versus 1 of each ship?
I think same type of ship is better, at least for starters, to study things. Maybe 3 versus 3 sloops and see the performance and balance it out there. Maybe keep that on Insider for like 6 months, it doesn't matter. Then bring it full blown to if galleons are too much, you can make it 2 versus 2. But just the idea, imagine the idea of you on a ship and your friend on another ship, you fighting 2 others. That fleet feeling, we never ever had it in Sea of Thieves officially. It's usually done through, alliances or something like that. And that doesn't usually work out well. But if you have it officially done like this, and you go on something like an emissary ledger, but a leaderboard for the most fearsome guilds, some people are just breathe, eat, and sleep that, nothing else.
Would you be in favor of a last ship standing mode, where it's a free-for-all, and you could queue in, represent your guild, and there's 4 other ships on the map, and it's a shrinking Red Sea with the fog around it, let's say, and you have to gather resources, it's 1 sink and you're out. Would you think that would be good for the game?
Blazing Sails, basically.
But with the better aesthetic and sort of Sea of Thieves mechanics.
Yeah, I mean, that would be nice, but I feel like that Battle Royale thing is... for Sea of Thieves, I feel like it's a slower paced game.
Yeah.
Battle Royale tends to be much faster paced. I don't think it will translate properly. In Sea of Thieves, always you feel like you want that mightiness and epicness, fleets and stories and context, The idea of just ramming into each other like Hourglass. Like Hourglass is good for PvP, but I dislike it because it's very dry. It's like a flat, tasteless pancake. That's exact. It has no flavor to it or context. Even the ones like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very the same, I feel like. Whereas Arena, the original Arena 1.0, like you said, it's like every session is quite different. You have different plays and different stories to tell after you finish the battle.
And strategy still matters, Strategy still matters, not like getting sail them out, done.
Indeed. And Hourglass is just, they blend a bit together, those battles. It's always sails up, 1 sail down, circle around, try to aim.
Who drops the mask first, 2 headshots, 1 balls first. It's like that.
Aye, exactly.
I think one of Hourglass's biggest problems as well is that if you lose, then your time to get back in the game is just ridiculous. You have to wait for a loading screen just to show you sink in, and there's a loading screen to spawn you an outpost. Then you have to wait for all the loading screens to buy supplies, and then you have to sail out and
counting coins.
Counting coins. You have to raise your emissary if you choose to. You have to vote up the Hourglass. You have to sail out to sea. Then you go to load again. And I think a lot of the fat can just be cut out of that, and Rare hasn't done it. I think they should have gone for the set supplies early on in the lifetime, because you do also have that thing is if you come across a ship that's been lucky to sink 1 or 2 ships, they're going to have loads of supplies. And I mean that does offset the whole streak thing and the matchmaking thing, the skill-based matchmaking. Sorry, but I think there's still work to be done there to make that a more seamless experience. I think that would help out the population, because right now Hourglass has just been neglected, like many other things that Rare bring out and don't circle back to, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get to that a bit when we discuss the community wishes as well. But to add to your wish still, Fuzzy, one of the problems I see, I don't want to think in problems, but it's kind of hard to get a lot of people at the same time playing. So maybe there could be an option to form alliances with other guilds. So if your guild members aren't there to play with you, you can, form a team.
Yeah, it could be like a check mark, like, allow fill crews, fill fleets or whatever.
Yeah.
Like other games, if you're 2 out of 3 only, you can check like something to bring in a third or not.
Yeah. And you could add a recruiting option to that as well. So you can, if you met a guy is helping you out in those battles, you can, hey, maybe you want to join my guild because I like your style.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, good ideas. How about you, Ray? Your wishes?
So I've got loads. I've got loads.
Only 2.
I think about this game all the time, but as a small wish for the community, technical thing aside, because it would take a lot of man hours, is to get the skeleton curse sorted out so that it works with clothing. I think the way they've done it, they've made a rod for their own back where whatever clothes you release now, we haven't had any new skeleton cosmetics and it's been over a year. So they're coming out at a, cripplingly slow pace. They should have, from the start, taken the time to make sure the skeleton curse and the clothes work together from day one. I know from behind the scenes that would require all new models and, getting them all working properly. And maybe even creating 2 forms of each piece of clothing, but now that we don't have that base work done, it's never going to happen. And I think the skeleton curse is really underwhelming in its current form just because of that. So it would be a small thing for the community. I think a lot of people would appreciate that, but I know the technical side of it would be quite high. So any thoughts about that?
You said everything I also wanted to say about that topic. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fuzzy, do you care about the skeleton curse? I know you're a Athena fan.
Not really. Honestly, after I reached 100, I was like, I'm never going to play this again. It's just not my thing. Some people like it, but I like stories, context. Like, I love PvP, but when there's a cause for it, protecting a new player or sinking these salty players because they don't deserve it, something like that. But after I got the first one, as a content creator, you have to have it because, you need to access the area. You need to make videos about it. If people ask you, like, can you show us different cosmetics? But after I reached 100, then, just playing it sometimes to hop, I ended up reaching 200. So I unlocked the Magpie's stuff. And that's pretty much it. Like, I will eventually reach 1,000, but maybe in year 3,000.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
I think for me, and I know a lot of people like cosmetics for this reason. I know a lot of people have their own sort of personal lore for their pirates and how they align and stuff. And my pirate doesn't have any personal lore other than the fact that, I'm a big Flameheart fan. I don't feel like the skeleton curse really represents what I would envision my pirate. If he took a little swig from the chalice, you just end up sort of bleeding into these generic looking skeletons that are a bit wacky. And that's fine. And I think some of the skeleton cosmetics are really good. But out of all of them that we have now, none of them would really represent what I think my pirate would look like as a skeleton. Nor would it be if we changed him into a skeleton or a skeleton lord, how would his outfit change? Because I
feel like they should be more dirty, like they're too clean.
Yeah. And they're not really thematically uniform. Like you have a few almost costumes breaking down, but none of it's really linked with Flameheart. None of it's really linked with the Reaper's Bones.
Yeah.
It's more just like island skellies. That's how I describe them. So yeah, that's my sort of feeling on it. And I think on top of that, that's part of the reason I don't really care for a lot of the cosmetics in Hourglass, because I have the Ashen Bones, I have the trousers I want. The only thing I really want is a level 1000 title, and even that's not worth it. So it bleeds into that as well. So yeah, I think as a wider thing, I think the cosmetics really need to be sorted out in general, because we get bare bones, pardon the pun, other than in the Emporium. But yeah, that's a complete different tangent. I'm not going to go into that.
Yeah, we've already went there multiple times in the podcast.
Yeah.
It's funny you put it under somewhat realistic. You should have known better by now.
I think it's reasonable to ask that, whether they actually decide to put the time in. They should have done it before, but, like I said, done now.
Aye. So what's your unrealistic wish then?
I think we've waited for so long now. I think we should have a big Flameheart day, and I'm not talking like an adventure or like a little voyage. I think it should be, hey, this season, it's completely Flameheart themed, just to say, sorry, you waited for so long.
Yeah.
And we sort of had that with Season 8. It was very Flameheart themed, even though it was about the Guardians and Servants, but the past was all Reaper themed, and the Pirate Legend items were. But, I'm talking the full shebang, like, boom, you get this adventure where Flameheart makes a big return, like the month before it comes out, and then you've got this voyage, like Legend of the Veil, and you go and do this, and you help reforge the Burning Blade, the ship now. Flameheart changes the map, so like Reaper's Hideout gets a big sort of makeover, let's say, and he takes over the Sea Dogs Tavern, and then you've got the season pass, and it's all Reaper themed. There's new Skelly cosmetics, there's all the Flameheart like items come out, like the Burning Blade ship set, Flameheart jacket, gloves, etc., and it's like, this is your reward for winning Return of the Damned. He gets his whole update because he deserves it. He's the main villain of the game, and you've waited for 6 years now for this to come to fruition. And that's it. He's part of the story again. That's the big climax, and we get the payoff, and we get all our rewards, and we get our activities. And then, as the story goes on in the future, Flameheart is a part of it, but he's not the key antagonist or the key focus. He's just there doing his thing. He's got his motives, and he's like Ramsey then. He's another faction that's involved in the story, and sometimes in the future we'll go and work with Ramsey, and then, Flameheart wants us to do this again. And then you can finally move on from this Athena versus Flameheart thing, and it's done. Then we can move on to new stories.
Yeah, it needs to conclude, right? Like Flameheart's thing is just, there's no cheese left in the pizza. It's been stretched too much. And, it needs to kind of just reach an ending. I think next chapter. Yeah,
and I think before I would have, if you asked me, like when Seatbound Soul came out, we would have defeated Flameheart, and he would have become, a world event or something that we go and smash in the face 1,000 times. But now they need to bring him back. He's a viable choice now. He's the alternative to the Pirate Lord. And then we have a new antagonist. Flameheart is back, and he's back for good. And then we can just move on with that.
I want to go one step further. Like you said, one season, like make it the year of Flameheart.
God. That is unrealistic.
I mean, like, you can have one season where we're building up his Burning Blade and have an adventure with it, and then the next season he can be back in full force. I want a year of Flameheart. He deserves it after so long.
It would be really cool to have Tall Tales back for him. So, like, he comes back. We've got 9 Tall Tales not working against him, but working with him, or he achieves his aims. And he's doing these sorts of things to... just further the story, and it ends with him just being back and consolidating power, basically.
Yeah, like it should end in November, and then it's like he's back in full force, and occasionally after in 2025 and onwards, we see him coming back, making appearances, just like the Pirate Lord does.
Yeah, it just very much feels like he will be under that Reaper's Hideout, and as long as they do good by it and make it flashy and awesome and climactic, it's fine for him to retire and then to move on.
Yeah, like he shouldn't be the end boss that you just defeat in a Tall Tale. He's just, he consolidated his power. He's at full force. He's now an entity in the world.
Yeah, it's he's an what's the it's not an anti-hero. It's like an anti-protagonist. He's still a protagonist of this game, Just the alternative to Ramsey, really, and Bell and all that sort of shit.
Aye.
Would you be happy with Flameheart having a climax and then we move on, Fuzzy? No, that sounds awful.
Well, yeah, like in a more like moving to a next chapter. That kind of like you can't just move to a next chapter. You need to conclude it whether we like face him. I don't think we should ever confront him because it won't be nice to like slice him with a sword. 1, 2, 3, and then he's like gone. That'll be just too generic and kind of offensive to the might of Flameheart, right? I think Flameheart should always be someone that we never actually face, but we faced his doings. This way it keeps him as a character of value. When you check, for example, I haven't read lore. I don't know if Ashen Lords are there, but for example, the Pringles guy, what's his name?
Captain Grimm? Pendragon, sorry.
Pendragon, yeah, that guy. Basically, when you look at the lore, when Falcor made videos, and the first time I saw him in the lore, when he went under that fort or something to like some underwater dungeons and stuff, you know, I don't know if they are. He kind of feels like very epic and mighty, you know what I mean? But then when you see him in Sea of Thieves and you talk to him, he's kind of like watered down. I know server limitations and stuff, but I feel like the game doesn't do justice to the original. Like, what's her name? The head Order of Souls lady. Yeah, she's like in the lore, she's insane, right? She's like so spiritual and stuff, but then in the game, she's a bit less. You know, she feels like
she's a bit goofy, isn't she?
Yeah, you know, like the same thing. So I don't want Flameheart. To me feels epic because we never saw him. We never actually faced him. You know, I don't want him to be an AI NPC or something that glitched into a rock or something. I just want him to be out of all this. Like, don't get involved. We fight your doings, but we just never fight you. It would be something grand, hopefully as difficult as original Hungering one, you know, but then we move on. Like, that would be it, and then we move on.
Yeah.
Like, he's gone in the shadows. Maybe in the future, if there's Sea of Thieves 2, they can have that open ending to bring him back in the future, you know, but just don't end him.
I think, my last point on this before we move on, because we spent quite a while on it, is that when you've read the books and you have this bit where Eli Slate is trying to distract him on Kraken's Fall, he's got his Eye of Reach and he's shooting Flameheart skeletons, and he turns the scope and he basically aims at Flameheart's head, and he's like, okay, I could just wipe Flameheart's shit-eating grin off his face now. And then he thinks, hang on, if it was that easy, why hadn't someone done it already? And then at the end, you get him, you know, he takes a full explosion to the face and he's unharmed and he comes back, and you've got all these awesome feats that he does, like ripping apart the vault with his bare hands and digging himself out. You can't do that justice in gameplay, so don't try. Because like Fuzzy said,
just keep him away,
Imagine just hitting him with swords, like as a 4-man crew, just surrounding him and hitting him, and he's just tickling you with like little fire attacks. It's just not good for anyone. So just bring him back and move on from it. Just have him there. Don't turn him into a stupid world event.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
All right.
Anything to add, Blubber, before we move on to your wishes?
No, except my piece would be awesome.
Cool. Let's hear yours then.
Like, I want Adventures in Tall Tales back, and that sounds a bit boring.
Yeah.
So I added something to that. I want them to have a climax this year or next year, because we discussed this last podcast as well. We have all these adventures and all these Tall Tales, but just when we're gonna get big or we're gonna get a resolution, it just fizzles out. We get blue balled every time. So for 2024, I just don't want to get blue balled. So
Sea of Thieves, right?
And Sea of Thieves. Real life. I mean, so what this means is for Brixie, for example, to finally get the cure and actually use it. Use it on, I don't know, on Flameheart or on Flameheart Jr. or on herself or on Wanda or on Tasha. Like, actually have a closure to that story. And the same with Flameheart as well. Like, actually bringing back, wrap it up, build this Burning Blade. There it is, wrap it up. Or maybe we see the ancient prisoner back, or maybe we see the ancient warrior there. Just have it finished. Have one of these stories done and dusted, and let us have a climax. And that's my somewhat realistic wish.
That's interesting. If you had to pick, now we have adventures back, and it's the same sort of format. They're small, they're pretty plain. Sometimes they're good. We've got the choices, and shit happens, and we get the trailers back. That would be good, actually. Or would you rather have? No, it's not. Well, we know that already, don't we? Because they've got rid of them. Or would you prefer Tall Tales come back, and we get maybe one set a year, or say maybe 5?
Like 5 Tall Tales in a year?
No, not in a year. We just have it as a season, sort of like A Pirate's Life. So season 12, say we've got 5 Tall Tales, and it pushes the story along, but you get nothing really big for a year, and then next summer it's more Tall Tales. Do you understand where I'm coming from there?
No.
Right, okay. Season 12, let's say that comes out in June. We get 5 Tall Tales, like A Pirate's Life, but they're Sea of Thieves Tall Tales. They're not crossover. We get the dribs and drabs that we've had for the last year or so, where nothing really happens. There's just little teases after that season 12 concludes. And then in season 15 or 16, in June, July 2024, 2025, it's more Tall Tales. So we have a set season each year. Out of 4, that's always Tall Tales. Would you prefer that, or have the adventures each month?
That's a good one. But those Tall Tales will have a resolution then, right?
Yeah, so it's a self-contained story, a bit like Monkey Island or Shores of Gold or A Pirate's Life, where there's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end, and then we move on. Maybe next year it's a continuation, or maybe next year there's dribs and drabs of the last Tall Tales, or it's a completely new focus to the story.
Yeah, but the adventures, they said they will be replayable, right?
Yeah, but remember that adventures are just not as good as Tall Tales in terms of the scope. Remember that.
Yeah. Tall Tales, there you go.
You go for the Tall Tales. Fuzzy, you're not really a Tall Tale lore guy. I know we did discuss before that you really do like the original 9 Tall Tales, because you said Wild Rose was your favourite, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
What's your view on adventures and Tall Tales coming back? What do you agree? Do you disagree with Blubber's wish there?
The funny thing is, it's kind of like, if Tall Tales are there, I would do them. If they delete them from the game, it won't make a difference to me, Just because I have this thing that if I feel like I'm streamlined into something I'm doing, which is Tall Tales, I just can't handle it. Like, after doing Tall Tale once, I still don't have the gold curse, you know that?
Oh, really?
The gold, I just, things like, respectfully, things that don't give me the freedom, I just have zero interest in them. I would do them because people are asking, but like that and fishing, like, they don't give me any freedom, that sandbox feeling. When I go on into Tall Tale, I do it the first time, it feels like, wow, nice, new mechanics limited to the Tall Tale. Once I come out of the other side, it doesn't exist to me anymore.
Yeah.
So I can't really, I'm not qualified to put an input in that because I'm not worthy of a Tall Tale,
You can also turn around and say that you don't want either to ever come back. That's fine.
Not really, because, that'll be selfish, right? I'm just saying my point of view.
You could be selfish. It's what you want for the game. We all want different things for the game, right?
The only thing I don't mind rudely being selfish is the blunderbuss. Uninstall. Like, I want to become rich to buy a Rare HQ and delete the blunderbuss. Then I'll sell the game. I don't mind,
do you use it yourself, Fuzzy?
No, I actually have a channel point for 100,000 channel points, which is really expensive, called BS, which means blunder sad. Basically, I use the blunderbuss and I'm sad. They make me use the blunderbuss. So yeah, and the initials are BS because it makes sense.
Right, funny.
That is funny.
Do you want to hear my unrealistic wish?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Well, it's also a bit boring because it's a map expansion. I never really felt the urge for a map expansion. Obviously, after the Devil's Roar, I did. Like, everybody was speculating, we're going to get volcanoes, so what's the next thing? Like an icy region or whatever. And then after a while, that discussion died down. And I was also like, all right, we don't really need new islands, right? We get new content. It doesn't have to be islands. But now, especially this year, that itch has really come up. And we have this south of the map that they just added. And it's just water. You can sail there, but it's just water. So I want that map to be filled. I want a map expansion. And I also, not just oh, we do the same old boring quests and world events there. No, just make a tale around it, make a proper story that fits with that region. You can also have the story that region is brought from the Sea of the Damned. Maybe Pendragon conjured it up. It would also be a great chance to finally bringing some legacy islands from their past games. I've said this before, but I really want to go to Treasure Trove Cove. I really want to go to Dragon Skull Island, or maybe Mako Islands. For people who know what Mako Islands are from what rare game, you deserve a cookie if you know that. Maybe add some hippos, because of course. So yeah, new region with a bunch of new stuff added. That's what I want.
That's completely unrealistic, Blubber. How dare you ask for that?
It is. We talked about this before too. Like we can't have different robot type because of performance issues. So new region is not in the cards, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
But do you guys feel the urge as well, or is it just me?
Fuzzy?
You go first.
Oh, I would love a new region just because we know the Sea of Thieves map like the back of our hand now. I think all of us can attest to that. Yeah, the south part of the world would be really good, but personally, I would like the Sea of the Dams to be explorable. I think that was teased ages ago, and accessing it from the portals would be really neat, and having like just a single region on a separate server for Pirate Legends only. And there's like a new world event in there. There's new enemies. There's new islands to explore, and there's new loot. And it's like a high risk, high reward area like the Devil's Roar. And basically everything you turn in there is for Athena. And you can only progress Athena on it. Something like that would be really good. And it would get around the technical issue of the servers are basically at their breaking point already.
Yeah. That's a great point. That's a great idea too. I would love that as well.
For me, mostly, I mean, I know the south part was added because of the fifth tall tale, which I feel like is an overkill because of that tower or something. But to me, I think Devil's Roar is not worthy of a whole year to exist. Because one time Mike Chapman said something about a power in Sea of Thieves that's able to freeze the horizon or something like this. Do you remember that? He said something like this a long time ago. So lore-wise, strange that I'm talking about lore, but I remember Falcor telling me about that when I was telling him exactly what I'm going to tell you now. I think the Devil's Roar every holidays or from beginning of December till end of February or whatever last season of the year is should freeze over. Devil's Roar.
That'd be cool.
The volcanoes, every time it erupts, it becomes an avalanche. The coding is kind of almost there. If you think of it, the damage could be the same. It becomes an avalanche. And then like the earthquake is already there. Instead of the red lava, it becomes like ice snow. And instead of the snake poison that you get that's purple, just make it blue, and give us ice damage. And whenever the avalanche happens, instead of hot water around it, that might need a bit of work. We get glaciers that could damage the hull of your ship, where you need to break him down with your shovel, stand on it and just keep breaking it. Or just, sail in, pushing him out of the way, then repair your ship. And every holidays, you only have stuff that unlock things similar to the Frozen Horizon cosmetics. Like these are only limited to every season. Like 3 months a year, the Devil's Roar freezes over. I feel like this way it kind of keeps the server performance at bay.
Yeah.
And it gives us something that we miss and we look forward to.
Yeah, sounds like a great idea. Reminds me of Animal Crossing. Like every season you can get different rewards. It's great. I love it, Fuzzy. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Brilliant. No, I really like that idea. I'd be down for that.
Anything we want to add to these wishes of ours?
I've said my piece.
That's it for me.
All right. So let's go to the wishes of our community. And we will do the Discord people first, since they are better people. If you also want to be a better person, you can join the Salty Hippo Discord. Link will be in the YouTube description. I always notify members whenever we are close to recording a new episode. And even though we can never guarantee your question makes it in, it does have a higher chance if you post them there. So let's take a look at a few of these wishes. And the first one comes from Toby EchoZap. If you were to, in 2024, have a set 100% completed from a recolor set, a new item set, and a lore set, what set would it be for each of these categories and why? and I can take that first if you guys want.
Mm-hmm.
So a recall set, one of the recall sets I want to see completed is the Golden Sailor set. I mean, we've been waiting for it so long, and I don't know, when was it, on Community Weekend or whenever it was? Like we could earn, the anniversary, we could earn those sets again, but it was just the same cosmetics. I'm like, where is my Golden Sailor hull? Where is my Golden Sailor sails?
Mm-hmm.
So I use the cannons all the time. Everybody uses these cannons. I want the entire ship set now. As for new item set, I really don't care. The gold leaf set does look nice. I also like the new hunter ship from the last Emporium update or the Thunder Pass update. So that would be cool. Lore set, the Black Witch.
Mm-hmm.
Because technically we have one item from the Black Witch set, which is a pocket watch, which I absolutely love. Give me the entire set. I want to have Pendragon's coat with the emblem on it, with the Black Witch symbol. And as a bonus, Toby, I also want all my heritage sets completed, like the Viva Piata sets. We get some weapons now. Just give us Viva Piata clothing, give us Cutthroat clothing, give us a Banjo-Kazooie cutlass, stuff like that.
Fair enough.
How about you guys?
Fuzzy, do you want to take this?
Yeah, that's fine. I would like a redesign of a certain ship set, if that works. Does that qualify?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. It's our podcast, so yeah.
The Obsidian ship set, especially the cannons, they are a shame to the Obsidian chip set, because the wheel is amazing, the capstan is amazing, but then you have this flared cannon that's not worth a penny. It looks nice, but imagine if it had a trimmed muzzle in the front instead of this. It will be just as famous as the Golden Sailor cannons, but the main reason, like, no one uses flared cannons, so it just feels to me that it would be nice to just like how they redesigned the Dark Adventure sails. I think, since you opened that door, might as well revisit these things and just, fix it.
I
make
agree.
it better.
Yeah.
And that, of course, will include the Silverblade and the Aristocrat.
Yeah, that's right.
And the Mercenary, right? These are all kind of the same family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great. I want it to.
100% agree with that. Please do that, Rare.
Any other sets you want to see changed or completed, Fuzzy?
Changed, yes. Changed again. I like changing things. I won't change it. I'll replicate it to another one. See, the Golden Sailor cannons are literally by far the best cannons in the game because they look great and they are clean and you can aim with them properly. But think of something called the Silver Sea Dog cannons, just because the name sounds cool. Exactly the same ones, exactly the same Golden Sailor set, but silver. This is for the second 5 years of Sea of Thieves, because we already got that one at the first and the fifth year, right? We can get that one in the 6th anniversary and then bring it at the 10th anniversary. I feel like that feels fair. Also, I'm afraid they're going to bring back the Sailor again. I'll slap myself. So I want to give him something else to play with,
Yeah, that's great. I want that too. Silver Sailor set. How about you, Ray? What sets do you want to see completed?
I'll keep it really simple. So lore set, I said before, Flameheart, all his clothing and the Burning Blade. We've got the Burning Blade sails. Figurehead's been teasing us for years, so that needs to come out. Recolor. Dark Adventurer doesn't have a recolor, so we need a blue and white version, a light adventurer, if you will.
That'd be nice.
And a new item set. I think Reapers need a Reaper clothing, not just a costume, but
not the meme clothing, like actual clothing. Yeah.
Like actual clothing that's a bit more Flamehearty themed. Like, you see some of the skeletons with the jackets with the bones in them. That's sort of ideal rather than just a copy of the Voice of the Flame set and the Reaper pajamas. I think they need their own sort of, maybe, or even actually their own masks that you can earn. That would be a really cool thing because they've got the mask slot now. So you could get like the Voice of the Flames, you could get the Servants, you get different expressions on your Reaper mask, or even like Humorous's mask would be really cool. So that would be my choice for a new set.
Yeah.
Right, great. Let's move on, right?
Yep.
Right, next one comes from Steel Skull. Everyone has important characters they'd like to see have lore events happen to, and certainly will next year. Ramsey and Flamor, for example, but who's a minor character in the Sea of Thieves world you personally would like to see have significant plot developments happen to, like we did with various old and minor characters when Rare was still progressing the storyline? So no hateful feelings there. Example ideas include Merrick's hero status and death, DeMarco's death, Brixie's ghostly return, Duke's relapse into villainy, Amaranta joining in the Dark Brethren, Gold Hoarder becoming a Disney stick, Hogarth being mentioned in the game, etc. So it's interesting because almost all the characters he names, I would say, are, not background characters or minor characters. I think they're all very much in the foreground. Not to the extent of Flame or Ramsey, obviously.
Yeah.
If I were to answer this, I want to see a tall tale or a story around Suda Shipwright, because she has the loveliest voice in all of Sea of Thieves. So yeah, that's my original answer of a minor character.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. Totally not simping, but there it is.
Yeah.
Fuzzy, do you have one in mind at all?
Yes, kind of two, actually.
Okay.
One, because I feel like she would create a great lore. Another one, she would create a great adventure. Deadshot Charlotte.
Okay.
Her name, and she's the only one, as far as I know, in all of Sea of Thieves that has the weapon visible on her back.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, she always looks like she's hiding from something, right? Like she's looking around or something.
Yeah.
So if they add a story or lore to that, how she was actually a part of something really big. Like, how sometimes in movies, for example, there's a car chase happening, then there's old women just crossing the road, the car ends up drifting and crashing, which ends up getting the person caught, right? Mm-hmm. Like the old woman literally altered the story, but she's not really a big kind of character there. So it'd be nice to make the Charlotte that was a pivot or a changing kind of turning a page in a story that we already did, but later we realized that she was the one that did that certain thing that causes, for example, the silver blade to sink accidentally. Something like she did something really huge, but accidentally, or she was to kind of give like some value to her name, like Deadshot Charlotte. What, like there's nothing to her. She's just there. She's literally a cargo on NPC.
God, do you make me wish that they had this whole, like, I don't know, these quests with just random NPCs where you dive into their backstory. That sounds like a really good, like, little thing to prop up a season or like mid-season or what have you.
Yeah. It felt they were doing that in the first year with Salty. You guys remember Salty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I felt, well, going forward, we'll have more of these NPCs having interesting backstories. But we get it with a few, but could be more.
Like Jill. Not Jill. What's her name? On Daggertooth, her fake name. The Shipwright.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but yeah, she has an interesting backstory.
Yeah,
and she just appeared to be in the NPC indeed. She even got a novel, so there you go.
Exactly, one of the protagonists.
Aye.
What was the other character, Fuzzy?
Umbra. Umbra seems like she's a very great traveler that kind of collected all these things about Sea of Legends. So it would be nice to, to have something for her. She seems like someone who left Blink-182 and she's just doing her own thing. She needs some story to her. These two honestly feel like there's so much potential in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good answers. I don't know how I'm going to top that.
No, you won't.
No, I won't. Mine's
but you go ahead anyways.
Mine's Oscar Seamark, one of Lassetti's crew from the comics. You see him in the comics and some promotional material, so his model obviously exists, but whether he's yet to be in the story, I think he would make a really good character, like a faction leader or a tall tale giver or something like that. I just think.
What was his role? What was his role in the comics?
He used to be in the army. Doesn't specify which, but I assume it's the British Army. And he retires, becomes a pirate, and then he basically goes around and helps Lassetti accomplish their aims. But he's also like a really good fighter, and he's massive. And he's just got a really cool design, I think. I'd love to see him come to the game.
Aye, nice.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Cool. The only thing I want to add, Steel Skull, I don't want to see the Gold Hoarder anymore. Like, his story is done. He's a stick. Let's end it.
Yeah, tragic and seriously tragic ending. That got even more tragic somehow.
Aye. Next one comes from Speaker Sot. Here's my question. Is there anything you're tired of not seeing in Sea of Thieves? After 6 years, I find it a little crazy we're still playing with the same ships and same weapons, when many other live service games would have expanded these aspects years ago. I know the lip service we've heard about why we haven't seen new weapons, ships, or islands, but it's still a bit bothersome to think about. What are you surprised we haven't seen more of?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
The boarding axe.
Yeah, there we go.
The boarding axe is literally in the game before anything else.
Mm-hmm.
From day one, it's in some of the taverns, weapon shops, and it's an emote and stuff like that. So I feel like at some point it was an idea, but they realized technically, because, the most thing I don't like about Sea of Thieves is, wanting to board a galleon and having 4 guns at your face, right? A boarding axe, having the ability to board from any area of the hull of the ship, makes it easier to board a galleon and harder to board a sloop because it's smaller, so you can actually hear the thud into the wood if you're on the wheel. So that gives an advantage, a fair advantage to board bigger ships because they have 4 people on it.
Are you surprised we didn't see any new ship types?
See, I used to be passionate about that, but with server limitations. I mean, if we add one, it would be like a small gunboat, maybe, solo player ship. That's it.
Yeah, people said that they want a real solo player ship. I never got that feeling. I'm happy with the 3 ships we got. Anything you are surprised we haven't seen more of, Ray?
More status effects. So, how you're on fire and you get hit by a firebomb or an Ashen Lord or something, or you get poisoned by a snake, or you're hit with a grog ball and you're drunk. I feel like that was something they were going down at the start of Sea of Thieves development, and they just sort of dropped it. I feel like there's a lot more potential in that, especially as a sandbox game. And the only real viable thing you can kill people with is your guns or cannonballs. Everything else just seems like a minor annoyance. So, imagine, I don't know, you get hit with something and it just makes you vomit, or you get hit with something and it freezes you in place, or it slows you like a limp, or something like that. I know we've got all those things technically in the game, but I feel like they could add something else, or, it breaks your arm so you reload slower, it impairs your vision, it makes it all fuzzy. Things like that could be really interesting, but they just haven't done it.
Yeah, I was thinking of daggers, like poison daggers.
Yes.
That will, poison you or, blur your vision and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Things like that, or ammo that, like, a blunderbomb is sort of meant to concuss you because it does that sort of like that tinnitus sort of effect in your ear when you get hit by it. Things like that deafen you so you can't hear people approaching you.
Aye. Are you surprised we didn't get more islands too?
Islands? Yeah, kind of like, I think the most thing needed in Sea of Thieves islands, but we need something new to look at, right? We need something fresh to explore. Like, I get sad when I see that all that work is put in a Tall Tale. No offense to Tall Tales. The limited nature of it is that makes it not a sandbox,
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's true. It would be cool just to have, Millie Island in the south region, just throwing it out there.
Huh.
And you can visit there.
Fat chance.
Well. Huh?
Fat chance.
Yeah, fat chance indeed. You're right. But we know why. Server limitations. But, I'm a little bit surprised. Even the longer the game is alive, the more surprised I am.
Mm-hmm.
But well. So yeah, thanks for that, speaker slot. The final Discord wish comes from Yark. My biggest wish is for the map to change in a significant way. Hopefully the introduction of the zip wires can revamp a lot of islands and change traversal. Other than that, have regular story content return and finally bring the big man back. So we touched on this before. Flameheart we talked a lot about, but he wants the map to change in a significant way. And he says zip wires. Do you think zip wires is enough to change the islands and revamp it?
No. Fuzzy?
I mean, we can literally access everywhere in every island already. They already added some ladders, and fall damage is not that bad, So, they will be fun to have, but are they really are they really like something new?
Mm.
You know, it's like, yeah, I can go down on a zip line now from Plunder Valley. I saved myself a coconut. You know, you know what I mean? Like, it's not. I would love to have it. You know, maybe for escaping something. If they can have it, for example, with loot, that would be amazing. Like, you know, when you look at the map or go on a ladder, you hang the loot on your back like a backpack.
Yeah.
It would be nice. It would be nice to do it like this. If it's added like that, that would be amazing. You know, you yoink, for example, Skull of Destiny, take the zip line, you know, adios, you know, you're gone, and you see them zipping down. That would be nice. But if they just add it, but you can't have loot with you or something, then it's gonna be. I think they will allow you to have loot, right? It kind of makes sense because
they have to, right?
Otherwise it's gonna be, I don't know.
Oh, just zipping there with no goal, just
it's
fun.
It's like I need a functional use of it. You know, you can jump from any higher place and down, and not really like just eat food and you're good.
I also want to ask you: do you have any ideas how to change the map in a significant way? But you already gave such a beautiful answer before that I didn't want to ask it again. Maybe I'll ask again. Maybe one of you have a new idea, like another way to change the map in a significant way. Any ideas we still have?
I did have a thing about zip lines I wanted to put in quickly.
Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I think they need certain aspects to make them feel usable. So rather than, like Fuzzy says, just going from top to bottom and carrying some loot, I think you should have the ability to shoot with a pistol from them because it's one-handed. You should have the ability to go up and down the zip wire, sort of like a pulley system. So it means it goes both ways. So, you know, it's not like Fuzzy said, you just jump down. The ability to grab on the zip line, regardless of where you are. So it's not just a start and end point. Say you had one going across Thieves Haven, across the bit in the middle, the water bit. Say if I jump from the top, landed in the middle of the zip line, I'd press X or E or whatever, and then you could go to the end of it. And the last one would be the ability to drop kegs that you're holding while on the zip line without detaching. So say the ship's going through Thieves Haven, you take the zip line, you've got a keg, they're underneath you drop the keg, that's lit, and it lands on their deck and explodes, and you just carry on your merry way. I think
that would be nice. Even just drop loot on it, right? If you want to, like, if you're on top of Thieves Haven, you want to send loot to your ship, you somehow put it on the zip line. It's unrealistic, but, you know, we have breathing skulls, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So you put the loot on the zip line and just like kind of glides down and it lands in the bottom of the zip line. This way you can, you know, get it easier like that.
Yeah, I think it needs a lot of functionality to make it feel really different and useful. And just open up the sandbox a bit more as well. I just think a point from A to B that you can carry loot on is fine. It can be so much more.
I agree. But map change significant way?
Fuzzy already had the best answer of the podcast.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Maybe new.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else. Like everything else will be unrealistic. You know, just trying to reach an approachable idea.
Unrealistically, tides would be really good. So like tides that go down and reveal sort of like little aspects of islands or little caves you can get into, different loot items, how you interact and how you get on islands, things like that. And could reveal bits of the map, like little ruins and stuff that you see near the Uncharted Islands. I think something like that would be really cool, even if it was just concentrated in certain areas.
Yeah, you could take Fuzzy's idea even further and have it seasonal, like when it's summer, like certain ponds dry up and there's a new cave there to explore.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, yeah. And then, it will be cool. So let's discuss a couple of the wishes that were posted in the community section on my YouTube channel, and some of them are quite interesting. And we begin with Christopher for Cake. He posted an entire list, but I'm just gonna pick one of it that I thought was interesting to discuss. Just like the servers, the old consoles keep us from receiving a new region or even potentially from getting a bigger ship. I am sorry for everyone who is still playing on those, but making separate servers for them would only make sense in my opinion. So how do we feel about that? Like, you know, neglecting the older console generation a little bit?
I'm pretty sure that's going to happen at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's around the corner because recently, Arc did the remaster of them, right? I'm a Crytek partner too, and Hunt Showdown in April is going to remove support to all the old consoles.
Mm-hmm.
They're upgrading the graphics and to their new Cry engine. So you feel like when you can smell, like something from a distance where you realize there's a movement happening, all these games are starting to come up with the remasters and the engine upgrades. It means that the average percentage of people using these is starting to reach the point where companies decided to move. But Sea of Thieves being released as an Xbox exclusive and stuff, the percentage of old consoles in Sea of Thieves player base, I feel like is higher than others. That's why it might take it a bit longer. But I have a strong feeling that sometime in 2024, they're going to announce that we're done. It's time to move on. And to me, I think that would be a big push, a great push for Sea of Thieves.
Wow, let's hope so. I'm of course really biased with my Series X, but yeah, let's hope so.
I think this whole thing of those consoles launching in the pandemic and the sort of supply shortages they had has sort of exacerbated this issue where, the Xbox One's 10 years old, the PS4's 10 years old. I do not expect my 10-year-old PC to be able to run games. My PC's not 10 years old. I'm just using an example. But this, in the last generation, I think it was maybe 2 years before they went, okay, we're not making games for the Xbox 360 anymore, unless it was FIFA and Call of Duty. But now we're still getting games that are launching on 10-year-old hardware. And I don't care what anyone says, it does hold games back in their design. You can have Starfield on the Xbox One. It's not feasible. They got it running on the Xbox Series S, but that's got a really powerful processor compared to the older consoles. And I don't even mean or anything, but by and large, the Xbox One and PS4 were outdated when they came out. They're pretty shit consoles. I remember at the time that they were seriously underpowered. And now because of that, we're 3 years into a generation and people are still calling it next gen. No disrespect to anyone who can't afford to upgrade or anything, but Rare and Microsoft are just going to chase the money and think, hang on, if we release this new update and it's not for Xbox One, we're not getting Emporium sales, we're not getting Game Pass downloads, and it will just take a massive chunk out of the install base. So I can't see it happening for another good few years.
Yeah, that seems a bit more realistic. Yeah,
it's sad.
As a live service game, we're starting to come out of this 3 years in. We're getting exclusives for the new consoles. But that's taken 3 years, which is a bit ridiculous. And there's still more stuff coming out next year that's releasing on old gen as well.
Do you think it will happen eventually?
Not until the end of this generation. I think Microsoft were very clear when they released all these live service games that they're going to be working on your old consoles for ages. Is it good for the game? No. But, there's nothing I can do about
that. All right. Next wish comes from Captain Script. He says, more Hourglass rewards. I don't care if it's just reskins. I just need something that I can set goals toward and feel accomplished with. And yeah, we talked about this in the previous podcast as well. Like the first real rewards get when you level 100, which is a bit steep for a lot of players.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing you guys feel the same?
Yeah, absolutely. Fuzzy?
Yep, I agree.
All right. Then we move on to Bo the Pirate. He says lore accurate jet skis. And it sounds like he's joking, but I don't know. Would it be to have something like of a raft that moves fast so you don't have to swim long distance anymore?
Robots do render like jet skis from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Right? Yeah, you see it like flying, and if someone's on it, it's like, just add a sound effect and it'll be a jet ski.
So add a sound effect to the robots. That's how you solve it.
It's technically already there. If robots are visible from like 100 more than big ships, they're very visible.
Right.
So yeah.
Going back to that whole thing about crafting your own robots and stuff. Imagine if you had a skull that propels things and you attach it to the back of the rowboat and you've made yourself a little jet ski.
See, that's a sandbox game.
That is a sandbox. Right, yeah. You can have that for free.
That'd be funny, honestly. Like we used to harpoon ourselves on top of outposts and rocks. Like the most viral videos are always the mega funny ones, and it would be nice to have stuff like this. Put a keg on top front of the rowboat and then put that wind skull in the back and ram into someone. That'd be very funny.
Just kamikaze jet ski with the ashen wind skull on the back propelling it.
Yeah.
Just want to add that the Captain Blubber from Banjo-Kazooie did move on a jet ski when you finished the game, and he also started a jet ski shop in Banjo-Tooie. So captains, pirates, and jet skis they go hand in hand in rare games. So just want to add that.
Nice.
Next one comes from GSSG. More things to kill, especially bosses, and aim assist to be removed. Well, aim assist not going to happen. Do we want more bosses?
Yes.
If we have more bosses, yeah. Go ahead.
As long as they're not skeleton lords or phantoms or any shit like that, I want new AI threats in the sea.
Yeah. I'm surprised.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah. Like crab, some massive snake, stuff like that. Not just, another, like Falcor said in one of his videos, seems like all skeleton lords went to the same summer school.
Huh.
Right?
Huh.
Same like skills, same everything.
I find it funny that none of them have blunderbusses anymore, not because they thought the blunderbuss was OP, but because they couldn't fix the bug where they quick swap you.
Yeah, you get shot from their chest and the blunderbuss appears.
Yep.
Yeah. We can't fix that. Just remove it. Yeah.
Just give them a pistol. They'll still do it with a pistol, but that's fine.
But it's not triggering, right? It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
I always want to have it on demand, kind of like the Fort of the Damned. So there's an island with a big cave with a cage in front of it, like bars, like iron bars in front of it that you can open by, collecting flames for fate or something. And then indeed the big boss comes out of the cave and you defeat it together and becomes a world event.
That would be cool.
I want to see it like that. Yeah.
Like Nipper from Banjo-Kazooie in the cave.
Exactly like Nipper from Banjo-Kazooie. Next one comes from Flag COT, the return of story-driven voyages. Also, more ways to engage in natural adventures PvP, like the Skull of Siren Song. So would we like to see more of those type of voyages?
The problem with voyages like Skull of Siren, they always feel like plugins to the game and not actually features that improve the experience in the game. Like you can remove it and not much would change. But if you remove, for example, shrouded spoiled stuff like Meg or Kraken or forts, that will change core mechanics of the game. So I feel like if they would add stuff like this, it's better to make it more like, you know what I mean? Like things feel like plugins when they add updates to Thieves. Like if you can remove it and still play the game, that means it's a plugin, and I don't think it's a good enough update.
Mm-hmm. Interesting point. I would like to see more of that, like a bit more variation as well. So we now have the mechanic that you have like these notes on the mast of your ship. Like could be a different note for a different person we need to do. And then because it's very varied, people actually want to do them more, because some people might have completed all the Skull of Siren songs, but others want to do, the Ramsey Voyage or the Flame of the Voyage or whatever. So you always have that engagement with these new PvP voyages, but that's how I look at it.
Imagine having one with this PvP voyage with Jim. You vote on the note, and it's the spectral version of Jim, and he wants you to get the Burning Blade, the sword now. You go pick it up. The sword can stop people in its place, or it's a one-hit kill when you hit them with the sword, and you have to deliver it in the same way that you do the Skull of Siren song. You could reskin that voyage with loads of different tools, and you could bring out one each month for a whole season, let's say, and then you've got 3 new activities there with the same mechanics, but they're all reskinned, but each tool feels different, and it just changes how you engage with those sort of things. I know it's not like massive, or like Fuzzy says, it's not going to change the game, but it's the moment-to-moment PvP where you've always got something to chase, and there's always something fun, but sort of bottlenecking people.
Aye. But just a quick lore question before we bore Fuzzy too much. Is Jim's soul, is he in the Sea of the Damned, or did he just fizzle out?
We don't know. It's never been discussed since that happened.
Yeah.
Since his head
Till
got
they
turned into
figure it
flame
out,
up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll ask Mike next time we speak to him.
Okay.
He'll know.
Next one comes from Nether Warrior. We need more little changes in the world. They recently added the orb to Reaper's hideout, and people have been trying to wear different costumes to get it to reveal its secrets. We need more little things like that all around the world. This will lead to constant engagement and theory videos. Also, a new world event wouldn't hurt. So how do we feel about that? Little changes in the world that people can engage with?
As long as, you don't have to go to Twitter and use a hashtag to unlock it, I'm fine. Just keep it in the game, I'm fine with that. That'll be nice.
That's good.
Something I loved about 2021 was the build-up with Duke moving around in the little shack on the beach, and because it wasn't in Insiders, no one knew what was coming, so it was great for speculation. I remember Falcor was doing it, you were doing it, Blubber, I was talking about it. And, the Reaper, the orb thing is a good example, but, it's just not changing at the moment. There's something that's going to happen there. But bringing that sort of aspect back, Adventures did this really well as well, with changing the world and building new Golden Sands or Port Merrick. I think that is a really good way to progress the story and build to something without having to do these adventures where they'll explain to you context about the Ancients for 6 minutes. I think that's a better alternative. And then just add a little gameplay thing like Gunpowder Skeletons or Skeleton Thrones to go with it.
Aye. All right. So I think we've kind of done with the wishes, unless there's some data you really want to discuss that we didn't do.
I'm just sort of scanning now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them we've actually discussed already.
Yeah.
Oh, the last one I want to discuss. I love guild raids of some sort. They've already shown they can make private servers on the main map, so they could easily create content based around that with making Alliance easier. Now, I just want to pick up on the private servers bit. I feel like custom servers have a really massive role to play in the future of this game, where if you gave us the tools to have a flying camera, to spawn AI, to warp around the map, to close bits off, you've got so much potential for not only content, but just people having social games, a bit like when you had with Halo Forge and the custom games in Halo 3 and Halo Reach, and now Infinite. Yeah. I feel like there's so much potential there, and Rare prioritized Safer Seas when they should have been developing custom servers. I could just imagine messing around with our friends.
Custom servers update will be the best update to ever hit the seas, because every content creator has a trove of ideas, but they're just limited to, I promised my community so many events, but they never happen, because every time we want to start a server, someone's at a 700 ping, someone didn't load in, someone that, so they're not even they're still in pre-alpha,
Yeah. I remember having a game night one night and we were doing red light, green light on Shores of Gold. Fantastic area to do it, but skeletons just kept spawning, and every few seconds because of the amount of people on there. And just I've seen the hassle of things like cursed games for the charity streams take to set up. And, devs do have access to these tools already. We develop them. We can develop the Sea of Thieves Twitch channel. People can, like yourself, Fuzzy, can run game nights on Sunday nights and stuff. You can run D&D sessions with your friends. You can make cinematic videos. You can do all this sort of stuff. But Rare's and this isn't necessarily, it's not a dig at them, but they wanted to show how streamable this game is and how organic it is. But let's see what it's like in a more controlled environment, and let's see what people can do with these tools.
Aye, will be great.
I think so too. And monetize them as well. Put a monthly fee in the Emporium to have access to your own custom server.
I totally agree with that. So thanks to everyone that submitted their wishes. So we have come to the end of the podcast, and I want to thank FuzzyBond for being an amazing guest. And can you tell our listeners where they can find your content?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Thank you.
And I'm FuzzyBond everywhere except OnlyFans. Just type FuzzyBond on any social and you'll find me. And that's pretty much it. Mainly Twitch and YouTube. If you want drama and opinions, you can find me on X or Twitter. That's pretty much it.
All right, great. I'll make sure there's a link in the pinned comment to your channel. And if you're curious to check out AShinyRay, a link to his channel can also be found in the description of this video. Also, make sure to leave your wish in the comments. Just because the podcast is done doesn't mean we can't keep this conversation going. I'm sure to read all of them. But this is the end of this episode. So if you did listen to the end, you are more deserving of love and success. Just keep it in mind. So thanks again and take care.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.